Salve a tutti ragazzi, benvenuti in un nuovo episodio di Railway Empire 2. Nello scorso episodio abbiamo fatto il secondo tutorial che è la costruzione dei binari e oggi guarderemo il terzo che è manutenzione dei treni. Questo tutorial ti mostra come effettuare regolarmente la manutenzione dei tuoi treni e come fare rifornimento. Vediamo subito di farlo partire. Oh, questa volta il caricamento è più lungo. Eccoci qua.
Welcome to my lesson on locomotive maintenance. First, you need to know that all locomotives have different maintenance intervals and consumption depending on their type. Take a look at the rail line between Sacramento and San Francisco.
Ok.
Here you can see the current state of the locomotive. The lower the condition is, the more often the train has a breakdown and stops on the way. Locomotives are automatically repaired at stations if they have a maintenance depot. To do this, try choosing the station in Sacramento.
Ok, la stazione di Sacramento.
Here you can select Construct Extension. Do that and take a look at the options available. Then build a maintenance depot.
Allora, deposito per la manutenzione. Con l'aiuto del deposito per la manutenzione, le locomotive vengono sottoposte a manutenzione automatica se le loro condizioni sono al di sotto del limite di manutenzione. Vuoi costruire questa estensione per 80.000? Sì.
Very good. Whenever the state bar of a locomotive has dropped to about 60%, it will be serviced. And since the Sacramento station is used by both of your train lines, the maintenance depot also benefits both train lines. Now close the station again and select a train line once more.
Ok, prima voglio leggere un'altra cosa. Voglio vedere. Dice chi l'ha costruita, quindi io. Perfetto, quindi chiudiamo tutte
These
queste
three
cose.
bars show the levels of water, sand, and oil. If operating materials are missing, the locomotive will be significantly slower. Water is needed on a daily basis. Sand is needed when going uphill to increase the friction of the wheels. Oil is needed to lubricate moving parts, and the amount required is dependent upon the distance traveled. All of the operating materials that a locomotive requires can be obtained at supply towers, which must be built along the tracks. Open the building menu and select the supply tower.
Sì, un attimo. Allora, conduzione della locomotiva all'1%. Rifornimento d'acqua al 27%, rifornimento della sabbia al 78% e l'olio al 17%. Ok, quindi guardiamo qua. Allora,
Now build a supply tower near each of the marked positions.
se necessario, le locomotive si fermano alle torri di rifornimento per rifornirsi d'acqua, olio e sabbia, per garantire condizioni operative ottimali. Ok. Quello fatto.
Very good. Both rail lines can now reach a supply tower. You can build them at any position along your lines, but they should be far enough away from switches and stations so that a long train can stop at them without creating conflicts. There is one more building that has to do with maintenance, the maintenance post. Select this building type.
Ok.
Unlike the maintenance depot or the supply tower, the maintenance post is not a required building type. It is suitable, however, when many trains come together in a small space because the maintenance post can reduce breakdowns and thus long traffic jams and conflicts considerably. However, this also results in daily upkeep costs. This brings us to the end of this lesson. Feel free to look around some more. Once you have finished, this tutorial will end.
Ok, questo tutorial è stato completato. Desideri iniziare adesso il prossimo tutorial? No, prima andiamo qua. Guardiamo l'ottimizzazione della tratta. Lo facciamo subito perché è durato realmente troppo poco. Ora puoi apprendere come ottimizzare le tratte ferroviarie in base al loro compito, quali tipi di locomotive impiegare, come cercare nuove locomotive e come impostare i treni espresso. Ok, arriviamo.
This lesson is about optimizing rail lines, specifically how to optimize the revenue of a rail line according to its tasks. For this purpose, select a train of the rail line from Sacramento to San Francisco. Since this rail line operates between two cities, it transports passengers and mail. These two goods are among the express goods because they require fast transportation. Consequently, the faster the transport, the higher the transport revenue. For example, the faster you transport a passenger, the higher the ticket revenue. Now open the balance sheet of the rail line.
Ok, il
Here you can
bilancio.
see, among other information, what revenues the selected train had on its last full tour. As you can see, revenue for freight transportation also plays a role. While Sacramento produces meat, San Francisco has cloth. Fixed prices are paid for freight transportation, so speed is not a factor here. Now consider the costs. Maintenance and fuel are mainly affected by the length of a tour, but personnel generates daily costs, so speed plays a factor here. Also, a rail line can transport more if it is faster. However, freight is much heavier than express goods, and a locomotive cannot be fast and powerful at the same time. Therefore, there are different locomotives. For example, on this rail line, a mixed-use locomotive is used. This is always good if the load consists of at most half freight goods. If there is a higher percentage of freight, a freight locomotive would be better, because the train will otherwise be very slow even on slight inclines. We now want to test a freight locomotive and one for express goods between the two cities. Open the Research and Development section. Here you will see many technologies that you can unlock over the years. They improve countless aspects of your business. These include higher ticket prices, happier passengers, and even more modern locomotives. Your current locomotive is the Dunham. Select it and let's take a look at its data. Compare the speed, tractive power, and suitability of the Dunham with the two locomotives to the right of the Dunham, the Derwent and the Firefly. You can see that the fast Firefly has a much lower tractive power than the powerful Derwent. This means that the Firefly is much worse at pulling heavy loads, but much faster at pulling light loads. Now, unlock these two locomotives so you can use them in your rail line.
E la Derwent e la Firefly.
Very good. Now close this dialog. Now optimize the rail line for express goods. Exchange the locomotive for the Firefly and select Express as the load type. Then pay the cost for the new locomotives and close this dialog.
Allora, bene espresso, abbiamo detto, vero? Ok,
Now watch your rail line and use the fast forward function if you like. It will only pick up express goods and it will reach a much higher speed than before. After a while, it will even show the express symbol. This means your rail line is the fastest of its time and gets even higher ticket revenue. You don't have to offer an express line, of course. Everything works with slower and mixed transports as well. But suppose you have a good reason for this optimization. Then, of course, freight transport is missing. If you can't transport freight on the same tracks, that would slow down the express train. Therefore, you should expand the tracks from Sacramento to San Francisco. To do this, extend the 2 parallel tracks from Sacramento to San Francisco by 2 more tracks. Then build a station gridiron at each station, connecting each of the 4 tracks. You can just build the new station gridiron on top of the previous one, but be aware that the new gridiron is much longer. Don't forget the directions for the new tracks.
Ok, quindi devo fare i binari. Costruisci. Costruiamo anche questo. Adesso devo fare il deviatoio, giusto? Fatto qui.
Now create a new rail line from Sacramento to San Francisco. To make it use the new tracks, you need to set waypoints. To do this, select the following 4 objects in sequence: Sacramento, the outbound track, San Francisco, the return track.
Allora, questo è Sacramento, giusto? Quindi devo fare così. Non ho capito. Sacramento, il binario in uscita. Ok. Non mi sembra che sia giusto, però. Ah, ok, sì, ha ragione lui.
Now use the Derwent as the locomotive. Select freight to be loaded because this rail line should only carry freight.
Allora, la Derwent, giusto? Per le merci, esatto. E poi merci, ok.
That's exactly how it's done. Normally trains always take the shortest way, but by using waypoints you can specify certain paths. You should also do this for your express line, so that the 2 lines don't get in each other's way. Otherwise, we're through with this lesson, so when you're ready, you can finish it.
Cioè, sono obbligato adesso. Ok, quindi abbiamo fatto sia la 3 che la 4. Quindi nel prossimo episodio faremo soddisfazione della domanda e produzione. Ok, comunque per il momento è tutto. Grazie a tutti per la visione del video. Ciao ciao.